So Evocation Part 2, or I guess the Pilgrimage Festival is what we're calling it on the NA side of things now, is now going to be in full swing over here on the NA side of the game, and it's bringing 4 free-to-play characters back that you weren't able to get beforehand. And while I'm not going to say that all 4 of these characters are the most meta-defining options and you're going to use them everywhere, they all do at least have some kind of niche usage at the very least, with maybe the exception of Saber Liz, but we'll get to her when we get to her. This first video, I wanted to talk about the mysterious Idol X, or pretty much just MHX Alter, but now she's a free-to-play character after Saber Wars 2. Because this character is a bit interesting. When they released, they were in a very rough spot because they weren't really able to do quick looping. It was super janky and hard to do because they didn't have a battery, but now because the quick system has evolved a little bit, she actually is able to showcase the power of having double ruler Scotty and a plug suiting in caster Scotty. It shows that sometimes you don't want to plug suit in Oberon, you do want that additional quick buff specifically for the NP refund. Now, I'm not going to claim that she's a god at looping or anything, but if you are in need of a quick looper, she can get the job done, and she does have 2 decent power mods, we'll say. The one on her NP is pretty solid, but the one on her second skill, we'll talk about it when we get there. So, as per usual, make sure you drop a like in the video, subscribe to the channel, as I'm always going to make sure that you are informed on all things going on both the NA and JP side of things, and things are going to be getting a little hectic after this Pilgrimage Festival. We have a new Ordeal Call chapter dropping on JP, and we have a banger lotto coming up soon, so if you don't want to be left behind, make sure you're staying tuned. But with that being said, let's start diving into her kit, starting off with her hits, of which she's got a really good kit for the current quick meta. If you're unaware, the current quick meta really wants you to be doing big quick and buster crits, because Ruler Scotty specifically goes out of her way to give you 100% buster crit damage, and Caster Scotty gives you 100% quick crit damage. This is so you can functionally have 4 out of your 5 cards having 100% crit damage, which is really strong. So Idol Alter inadvertently was built in a really good way to be very well tuned for the Ruler Scotty income meta. She's also got some really high natural NP refund at 0.9% and some decent hits on all of her cards, specifically 4 on those quick cards for nice quick refunds and a decent refundability on the arts card. Do remember, there's no natural NP gain buffs and there's no natural arts buffs on this character, so the arts refunding might be a little bit more disappointing than you would be expecting with how high her NP gain is, but it is still decent at the very least. She is also rocking that 5-hit extra attack, which if you're not in the know, let me inform you, is a composite card that Gen stars NP and does big boy damage, and because she's coming back for the Pilgrimage Festival, you can get all of her coins to upgrade that into the omnipotent extra attack by boosting its effective rate with the append skill. But I would recommend that you go for monoloading first, or even her append 3, which gives her special damage against berserkers, and as a foreigner, that's actually not a bad spot to be in. If you don't have a foreigner on your account, this might become your dedicated berserker killer, and so giving her that append skill is not a bad idea. As far as passive skills are concerned, she's not really rocking anything too crazy. A little bit of a buster buff there, a little bit of debuff resistance here, and 2 stars every single turn because, well, she's a foreigner and they can all just do that for some reason. But it is kind of nice because the Scotties aren't giving you any innate debuff resistance, debuff immunity, anything like that, at least at the time of me recording this video. So having some way to kind of dodge enemy stuns and attack lowerings and all those kind of shenanigans, that's kind of nice. But let's start getting into her real skills, starting off with skill 1, Superb Round Dancing Bee. What a name. This is going to be giving her a 30% quick and buster buff for 3 times that lasts for 3 turns, and 1 hit of evasion that lasts for 3 turns on a low 5-turn cooldown. One thing we will notice with Idol Alter over here is that her cooldowns are relatively low, so even though her skills aren't the most innately OP, they are going to get a bit better with the Pen 5 being able to lower those skill cooldowns, especially on her second skill. But if you're not aware of how these 3 times work, basically if you do a quick buster chain, you've used 2 of those times for the quick buff, and so it's supposed to be there to get the most effectiveness out of those quick and buster cards, but realistically, you'd probably just rather have it for the 3 turns, because what if you get into a solo scenario where she's the only character on the field? You don't want to waste all of her buffs doing a quick chain with her NP and her 2 quick cards, and then you have no more quick buffs, because she really does need to refund as much as possible, because she doesn't really have all that many hits on her AoE NP. 4 on an AoE quick NP is really low. It's enough to get the job done, but it can be a little clunky at times, especially if you're missing out on some of the necessary necessary supports. But effectively, you can pop this whenever you have it available. It gives her a hit of it like dodge, so she can't just die automatically, and it's going to be busting all over the place with that buster damage, and also helping her refund and do some extra damage on her NP with those quick card performances. Nothing super insane here. Moving over to her second skill, Infinite Upstream Lyric Sea. Whatever that means, I don't know, but it sounds dope, so I'm all here for it. It's going to give her 100% crit damage for 1 turn, and increase her own damage against mechanical enemies by 50% for 3 turns on a low 4-turn cooldown. So the uptime on this is pretty good. 100% crit damage, you can already guess how good that's going to be. This character can actually drop some mean crits, especially if you do have the double Scotties, whether that be ruler or caster, depending on what direction you want to go. But we need to talk about this mechanical power mod on the second skill, because I'm also a little guilty of playing this down. There are actually a decent amount of enemies you can find that are on this mechanical tag. For servants, there's a decent smattering of them. Unfortunately, a few of them are alter egos, so you can't really fight those guys, but there's still a decent amount of guys you can bring her up against. Some of those are berserkers, so she'll do really well against your Lubus, your Frans, your Xiangyus, and your Galateas, which is pretty notable because Galatea is going to be getting a 1 million HP boss when we get the Bleached Earth mission, so that'll be really good for berserker farming. But then all of the other characters over here, if you don't have someone to take them down, she's at least going in type neutral with a 50% power mod. That's not bad. And then if you look at some of the free quest enemies, you've got a lot of Nobus, which are always going to be around whenever they do a Guda Guda mission. You've got the like Takasugi's mech running around in there, and then some of the automatons. You've got enemies that will pop up on occasion. You've also got like the mechanized infantry, and then you have those Shinjuku soldier guys that were following Emiya around, you know, they're in there as well. So there are some decent enemies that you can actually get some value out of when bringing her around to fight some guys. It's not the most amount of enemies, but it will be something that'll help you out, especially because also you see the CCC enemies up there as well. This kind of gets memed into the ground for being like one of the worst power mods in the game, but it's actually not bad considering that she is a foreigner and she can go at least type neutral into all of these, and if you don't have somebody better, she can be that option for you, while also doing some pretty nice crit damage. And again, once a Pen 5 comes out, you can actually loop this skill back, and that'll be pretty nice. Finally, on her third skill, King's Singing Sea. Bro really thinks that just because she's a saber face, she's a king, but you know what? I'll let it fly because I'm actually a pretty big fan of MHX Alter. Don't judge me on that one. But it's going to be giving the entire party a 20% attack buff for 3 turns and giving everybody a 2k heal on a 5-turn cooldown. Again, extra attack is nice. You can pop this whenever you want, and she's giving some healing, which is more than the Scotties can be saying. It's some type of party utility, which is always going to be a little bit nice. And I too would also probably be soothed and healed if MHX Alter sung to me in a cute outfit like that. But enough gooning. How do these skills work as a package? Well, essentially, you can kind of just click all 3 of them if you're going to be using her for farming. You just want them up all the time, right? Like you always want the attack buff, you want the quick buff for the damage, and the NP refund. And if you're fighting mechanical enemies, screw it. Might as well get that up right off the bat. And if we're going into boss fights, there are definitely better characters you can be bringing, but with her being a free NP5, her damage isn't the worst even without her power mods. And she does at least have the dodge, and the 2k heal can come up if you're doing a more low to the ground run. You don't have the best supports in the world. You know, having that ability to maybe eke out an extra turn, especially with that 1 dodge, can come in clutch. But let's just look at her NP real quick, and then we can kind of talk about her as a whole. So it's an AoE quick NP with 4 hits, as I mentioned earlier. It does have power mod against enemies with evil alignment, which is pretty strong. That is a good chunk of servants. That means any lawful evil, neutral evil, chaotic evil, summer evil, even whatever. She's going to have power mod on them, and then she's going to give herself a 20% quick buff that procs before she does damage. So in farming, she effectively has a 50% quick buff for each of the NPs that she's using. But if you do have to use her face cards, so she's going to lose those skill 1 buffs, so try to not do that. Try to avoid the quick cards because you need that for the NP refund and the damage on her NP. So what's the, judgment on this character? Are they good? Are they garbage? Are they bad? Well, I think they get a bit of a bad rap as a free-to-play character. I know when I just did the free-to-play tier list, I was probably a little harsh on them, but they do have niches. If you don't have a foreigner in your account, this is going to be an option for you. This is a legitimate character you can bring around. They're not going to be the craziest. They're not going to have all the special bells and whistles that somebody like Aoko has, or Kukulkan has, or even the new MHXX Alter that we got. And they're certainly not going to be supporting the party like Van Gogh, but they can get the job done. If you need a foreigner, they will fit that role in your bot. And they do not clash with Nocnaria, who's going to be the free-to-play for the upcoming summer event that we have in a couple of months over here, because that is an art servant, and she's also a little bit odd in her gameplay usage. You might actually prefer using Idol Alter, just because you click the buttons and you're done. Nocnaria is like sealing your arts cards if you're not following the rules and stuff. I could see some people having a reasonable crash out when using that character. But I did just want to make it clear that this character is not the worst. You know, they are usable. You can get some decent mileage out of them. Their bond CE is also not too bad if you are trying to collect a saber face for each of the types. You want to make them your grands or whatever. She gives the entire party 15% power mod against mechanical and evil alignment enemies, which again, not bad. It's just really disappointing because this character really could have used, and say it with me now, a battery. Even a 10% battery I found at times would have given her the ability to do decent enough quick farming. She is going to be one of those characters that is going to require like K-scope from the start, or at least a 50% starting charge CE, giving her some kind of quick buff so she has extra damage and extra NP refund. But then if you have that, she can get around the ballpark of refunding 50% of her battery. So with the 3 Scotties running around, she starts with 50, one Scotty gives her 50, refunds 50, second Scotty gives her 50, refunds another 50, boom, third Scotty gives her the last 15, she can do all 3 nodes. That's not a problem. Where the problem kind of comes in is up against Berserkers, where sometimes she can get in the range of like 47% to 49%, and that can be a bit irritating sometimes. Not so much the 49%, because that at least rounds up, but you know what I'm saying? When you're hitting just like 47, 48, you're just like right there on the cusp, or like 43, 45, it can be a bit annoying because you can just see that, man, if this character just had the smallest battery, they would be absolutely chilling. They would be getting the work done. I mean, if they had a 30%, you could do their Repensco for the 20%, and then any 50% starting charge CE becomes K-scope for her, and that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in. So she does end up struggling a little bit, and I do just find myself baffled at the fact that they would buff all 3 of the other characters, but kind of just leave this character out to dry. I do have some conspiracies about it, that because she is a free-to-play foreigner, they don't want her to be too good, because then you're not going to go summon for the premium foreigners, are ya? I mean, we can't have this guy be too good. But there is a line between, you know, making sure the free-to-play is not super insane and then just giving them a helping hand. So here's to hoping in the future that even a 20% battery, 30% ideally, will come her way. If they also would like to fix the first skill and just make those quick and buster hits just 3 turns instead, that would also be really nice. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is a character I do really enjoy using, but they just feel like they're right there from being one of those solid B plus, you know, maybe just B minus free-to-play characters, but it just feels like they're missing it. And that battery, I do think, is the one thing that they're lacking that a lot of their contemporaries do have. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As per usual, like on the video, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free and helps me out more than you know. If you want to go that extra mile, Patreon is linked down in the description down below, where the patrons do get to decide on what videos are coming out for like low star legends and stuff. There's also some exclusive patron content that comes out once in a blue moon, but if that is not your prerogative, do not feel pressured to go sign up for the Patreon. It's just there for people that want to yap to me in the Discord or be like, ZTL, make the Babbage video. I do also have my Twitch link down in the description down below. Streams might be a little infrequent going into May these next couple of months, or weeks, by months. So I am getting a little busy with IRL stuff, so I'm still going to be doing the daily uploads, but streams might be a little bit more rough, but going into May, they should be a bit more frequent. I would like to start streaming every weekday again, doing FGO maybe on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and then doing something like Wuthering Waves on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've really gotten into that. Or even stretching it out a little bit, maybe like Wednesdays or Arc Night or something. That would give me a little break from kind of doing FGO all the time, and when FGO is having slow periods or I'm done farming the event, it would be nice to be able to play something else. So just things to consider, just stuff, little maintenance over here at the end of the video. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.